Welcome. This is a live stream, so if you see me talking back and forth answering questions, because people are on the screen. Move my hand like an Italian, yeah, I know. So, right now, we're just waiting for people to finally get the stream and get into, the notifications and things of that nature, and we will continue. And from the looks of it, it doesn't look like the notifications are going out the way they should. What's up? I'm glad Tony Robinson got his and James Carter got his. I think I'm seeing some errors here. This always happens. You would just hope at one point, they would get it together. I'll do that probably shortly, but that's on the movie channel, not doing my regular channel. Oakland's in the house. What's up? What it do? All right. As I try to get this thing fixed by letting him know that these notifications are not going out. Bear with me. Contact them directly. And then we will continue. Now, when we talk about Philly rap, you got to go through Philly's history. Now, they had the Stylistics, the Delphonics, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, all those old bands your mom and dad used to like, all came from Philly. Philly was the home of these bands. Hall and Oates, all that soul sound came from Philly. So the heart of all these songs that everybody used to play from Cali and everywhere came from these bands in Philadelphia. A lot of them. Now, here's where the things start to change a little bit and switch around. When the hip hop era came in and people were scratching and doing their things, I mean, you got Schoolie D, you got Cool C, you got guys who were making it happen back in those days. And that was different parts of Philadelphia. So when Schoolie D and them was doing their thing back in the day with Steady B and this is before the Roots. We'll get to the Roots. Don't worry about that. But you had 3 Times Dope. But everybody seemed to forget The Kings of Philly. See, the Kings of Philly, right there. Big Will and DJ Jazzy Jeff. That was your Kings. They were the best to ever do it out of Philly. I know they didn't send anybody a notification. It sucks. I'm trying to get them to fix it right now. Cool C and Steady B and those guys, they were all tight. They rode in the same clique. But Steady B and those guys, they were gangsters. They were real life hooligans. They played everything to the chest. But on the microphone, they were serious. Now, here's the thing. West Philly was Will Smith, better known as the Fresh Prince, with DJ Jazzy Jeff. But there was a problem. Down the road, South Philly had a guy come in and hold it down from South Philly. And his name was Robbie B with his DJ Jazz. And everybody said, wait a minute, what is this? DJ Jazz, Robbie B and DJ Jazz. Sounds a lot like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And if you listen to it, it sounds a lot like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. So they were looked at as the knockoffs on the west side of Philly on. And then on South Philly, they were saying they was first. Robbie B and DJ Jazz was saying, look, we were the ones that was doing this. They bit our style. We were the ones making it happen. Coming correct, we was repping Philly. And putting it down the way it's supposed to be. Now, Steady B, what's my name? And I'm serious. There was no competition. You had different parts of Philly, North Philly, South Philly, West Philly. All that stuff is different. Each side is different. One side basically don't mess with the other, even if they got family over there. They didn't send the notifications out, which is crazy right now. It's crazy that they didn't even do it. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince came along. They start making major waves in the record business when they came through with He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. Which was at the time the perfect name for an album, because unless it says DJ, everybody try to figure out who's the DJ and who's the rapper. So when he came out with He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, that's it. All right, Omar, you got to hold it down till the rest of them get here. I'm going to try to call Oskino and get Skino on the phone because he from Philly. I know, Summertime is in the top 10 best hip-hop songs of all time. Straight out of Philly. They're the best to ever do it out of Philly. 3 Times Dope, original styling. They second CD, or LP, I should say. I ain't really feel that, but the first one was dope. Well, see, the thing is, Yeah, well, that's true. But the youngsters came, I mean, that came later on. That came a little bit later on. Not that far away, though. Before they became the Illy Funksters, the youngsters, the group out of Philly, they started putting it down. That was in the 90s. But when you start talking about these guys, Will Smith is the king of Philly rap, period. There's nobody bigger than Will Smith. Okay? A lot of people will tell you that Robbie B, and DJ Jazz, if anybody tell you that, that's because they from South Philly. Okay? They repped Philly a lot harder than Will and them did. They album was a Philly album. It was a soft Philly album. Coming Correct. That album is a classic in Philly. And that is it. But that's how they just stayed local. And they weren't going to go nowhere and was looked at as a knockoff. And everybody was like, man, they bit our style. Will Smith bit us. You know, you got DJ Jazzy Jeff, and then here's DJ Jazz. You know, you got the High Top Fade, Robbie B, and then you got the Fresh Prince. And the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, to me, was just better beats, better production, better rapping, better subject matter. Period. Schoolie D was the one that really transitioned a lot of these into this art form. But then you start going into people like Cool C, and Cool C was running into all type of problems. And during that time, Cool C was like, you know, hanging out with Steady B, and these were the rappers slash gangsters of the business, you know, at that time. And then, of course, you know, he's doing life in prison because somebody died, and he's still claiming his innocence. But that's it. What's up, Bron? Bron's in the chat. Well, LeBron's a DJ. He know what's going on, hopefully. But during this time, the transition of beats and all the things that took place back then was all about other people's tracks and knowing how to scratch and how to popular songs that people loved and being able to make those songs and capitalize on them. I mean, how many people know the song West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground? You got people all around the world was singing West Philadelphia, born and raised. Everybody was saying that. So Philly had all this original style, all these MCs coming up, and nobody was really checking for them in the 90s. They would take from them and make them come to New York to get a deal. Because that's what they did. You go to New York to get a deal with your New York cats, and then the New York guys kind of steal your flow and your style and everything about it. KRS-One started hanging out with Steady B, Cool C, and all those guys because they had beef with the Juice Crew. And because they had beef with the Juice Crew, Cool C and them, they all got into it with them. And that's how it became a war with the Juice Crew, because it was just the arrogance of them all coming together. And it was just like, what are them? They acting like they the gods of rap and all this stuff. This stuff is ridiculous. So they used that as their engine, basically, to come in and just started to, you know, go back and forth. So when Cool C and Steady B start coming around, KRS-One had some gangsters really hanging around him. So the rhymes got a little rugged with KRS-One. It was more abrasive instead of educational. It wasn't no more you must learn. It was on some gangster stuff. So yeah, they was then they started going back and forth with the Juice Crew. No, I will not be checking for Eminem's album tonight. Thank you for the donation, though, Mr. Brian. I appreciate that. I think some people are finally getting a. Oh, thank you, bro. I appreciate that. To everybody, I said what's up. So Steady B ended up. They started doing more crime than rap. You know, KRS-One was trying to get them to stick with it, keep working, keep grinding. They got a hot album. You know, just continuously do work. But they weren't doing work. So all of a sudden, oh, I'm sorry about that, Brian. I'm quite sure you'll get another one. All of a sudden, things started to change a little bit. And once things started to go a certain way over there, you start seeing the music scene change. Will went to Hollywood. Jazzy Jeff left. The youngsters were around. Things was the music was changing from that rugged sound to more dance and party and the style of hip hop was starting to die down. So you start seeing new heads start popping up from Philly. But things were not the same. It went through a hiatus because nobody was really checking for Philly artists. What they would do is they'll see a Philly artist, be like, okay, he's nice, but we don't know if he's ready for the scene. And this is the problem with Philly rap and Philly artists. Philly artists, they want to battle you. They're more battle rappers than anything. They love to just have a block, see them go against somebody else. That's what they do. They battle 24/7. And they weren't thinking about making an album. They thinking about ciphers and being nice in the cipher and just going through somebody. So the next person to really come out and do something from Philly at that point in time, I want to say the younger kids that was born during that era when that era with Schoolie D and Will Smith and all those guys, they were kids or just born a little bit during that era when that was happening. So the rappers they remember was from New York. All of those guys was from New York. It wasn't until Beanie Sigel came out that Philly rap started to get a face again. Beanie Sigel wasn't even trying to really do nothing, like really get a deal. But when Beanie came out, it changed everything and it gave back a new renaissance of, man, we kind of been sleep on these Philly artists. We need to kind of gravitate to this because Jay-Z was blowing up off Volume 2 when they went and signed Beanie Sigel. They would just let Beanie rap, go out there and just spit. And he was fierce. Jay heard that and said, I need that. What he got, I need. And he led off Volume 3. Off the very first Jay-Z single, Beanie Sigel. Mac. You know how Mac come through on the thug tip. Everybody real deep on that thug. It took over the entire song. Took over everything. Mac verse on deaded everything. The Roots came out, did their thing. They had their little time and did their little part back then. But the Roots was more based on, like I was saying, I was gonna bring them in because the Roots came in off the musicianal tip. We covered that, Stanley. This is a live stream. You came in too late. Sorry about that. But the Roots came in on a musicianal tip, as we told you in the beginning. This is the home of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Hall and Oates, the Delphonics, the Stylistics, I believe, are from Philly. All of these bands, soul bands, came from Philly. So all of these bands and musicians and family members, there's so many musicians that played instruments in Philadelphia. So Philly had all of these bands. So the Roots grew up listening to these music, just like all these other people did. They grew up listening to these sounds in their home from their parents. So they start playing all these different records in the house. So the the Roots basically pinned off that and came in with like poetry type of rhymes and deep voices, and Black Thought coming in with his verses. And it was contagious because that type of rap can go with anything. They type of style with music and blend, it's like jazz and rap together, like the old Stetsasonic days. Now, during that break, during that time, Philly rap went more, freestyle battle more than industry. Uh, they weren't really checking for them. During that time, it was more Biggie, East Coast is back, because East Coast had basically took a break because the West Coast had its say. When Dre and Snoop and all those guys was out, nobody's really checking for anything East Coast. Everything else was considered local. Once like Wu-Tang and Bad Boy start coming back to the table, then the East starts seeing some shine, and we can't forget about Duck Down Click too, because the Shining album did well from Smith and Wesson. It did really well on the West Coast. So that brought a lot of light and attention back on Philly and everybody else. Once Jay recognized he needed to get that Philly sound around him, his rap style changed from how he rapped in Volume 1 and Volume 2. And if you listen to him in Blueprint, listen to him on Volume 3 or The Dynasty, it really shows. You can see his influence from Philly. All the Philly influence is in his rhymes. You could tell it's a slight difference from New York to Philly. You could tell. If you hang around a Philly dude for a while, you see they don't talk like people from New York. They move a little different. So if you listen to a Philly guy talk and the way they flow, it's entirely different. And people who from there, they can tell where they from. They be all, you from Philly. Oh no, he a Philly cat. Philly or Jersey. And that'll be it. But it's the slang. Philly had their own slang. So he picked up Beans. Next thing you know, Beans is out there. Beans set the stage. Then Freeway was coming along because of his sound. But what it did with Beanie Sigel was open the door for people to say, we need to get with some of these Philly dudes. But on the low, people was messing with Philly guys all along. They knew these dudes could rap, these younger kids. These younger guys that was coming up can rhyme. They had the fire. They were hungry. Other rappers in New York, they were spoiled. They seen all the success. They want all the glamour. They want the glitz. They don't want to put that work in to be successful. They want the diamonds. They want people to spend all their money on them so they could be something. While all these young kids was out here in Philly wrecking. They had been to the events. All the other rappers was at crushing them. There's some you guys don't even know. Ja Rule got destroyed by Cannabis in a rap battle that Ja didn't even know he was gonna be in. Cannabis gave it to him. And this is like what led to Cannabis getting signed and brought in, and him and Swiss hooked up. But I'll save that for later. Cassidy came in and got signed by Swiss, and he would watch Cannabis just go at it with all these dudes, the Rough Riders, everybody just battling. And he was around that. So he got stronger. He took him to New York, took him to Hot 97, like, this is it. We finna do this. And the whole rock was in there getting loose. And then Cassidy and Freeway got into the battle. And that was just like a Philly cipher. And right then and there, it put not Cannabis, but Cassidy on the map. And they was in play. But little did they know, in Philly, in the streets of Philly, there was a group with Gilly the Kid called Major Figures. And them figures was doing it. Major Figures was doing it. But since Will Smith, Eve is probably was one of the most successful. She was more successful than Beanie Sigel. Eve actually had a solid career, and she was writing her own raps. So no, I'm sending a message out to Oskino right now. I'm telling them that I want to call him because I want to get Oskino on here from State Property. I'm trying to see if he around. So that's what I'm doing, actually. Smart guy. Oh yeah, you can't forget Lady B. She was. Thank you for that. Lady B was the first lady of hip hop in Philly. But to be truthfully honest, Lady B songs was not that great. Yeah, me and Skino cool. Yeah, Heather B is from Jersey. She's not from Philly. But anyway, Major Figures While we waiting on see what's going on with O. Major figures. Let me pull a photo up for you, so you can see about them figures. When them figures came up with Dutch and my man Spado and all them, when the figures came out, all of y'all was in there. I believe my cousins are in South Philly. Wherever Max's is at, right by the hospital over there by Max's, they work over there at the hospital. I don't know if that's Temple Hospital or whatever it is, but it's a hospital right over there close to Max's. So anybody from Philly know exactly where that is. Well, North Philly. Temple University. Yeah, my phone is having some type of a breakdown mentally. I dropped it too many times. The girl, she was in there. Yeah, that's the Erie Ave gang. This is the first time I ever heard of Erie Ave. That's Bianca. But anyway, the figures had all the mixtapes. They were the ones putting out the mixtapes on the streets. They had the streets buzzing. Everybody was going to the clubs, bumping the major figures. The figures, them, they were the ones that was coming up. People was trying to be a major figure, trying to roll with their crew. Because their crew grew. It was like two dudes in the crew. It was in Gilly and another dude. Next thing you know, they started to grow. They started to grow. And once they grew here, man, when they had figures for life and all that, this is the group I really followed a lot when everybody else was talking about Philly. I was rolling around with bumping the figures tape. So what happened is everybody saw the major figures had things going. They was getting a record deal with what was that, Warner Brothers. They had a good deal coming out for them. Yeah, That's Us. I hated Yeah, That's Us. I did not like that song. Out of all the songs they did, that was the most commercial garbage I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, Warner Brothers made them do this. There's no way they could have chosen to do this song. Yeah, That's Us. Yeah. Yeah, That's Us. I'm like, what are they doing? And it was a hit. Thank you. I'm going to need a lot of $2 to get that phone fixed. Yeah, the Illy Funksters, they were the only thing in Philly at the time that was out, because they basically had a deal through Naughty by Nature. So Naughty, Tretch helped them get the deal, and he was help writing for them. So they was straight, but they was writing too. So it was like they were getting assists. I mean, yeah, if you want to go down all the artists, but because of this, when Figures came out, J and had an idea, him and Dame, about putting all these other rappers together. Chris and Neef, they were signing all these guys from Philly, bringing them in, bringing all these guys in from Philly, all these young talents, because they were rapping better than the rappers that were in New York. The rappers in New York wasn't spitting like these kids here. They was just giving up free bars. All these bars these guys was spitting, Chris and Neef, Young Chris was 16, 15 years old, dropping bombs. Everybody in there was burning. And most of the guys in New York, they wasn't really hungry like that. They wasn't. And it was like, man, dude, we signing these guys, they ain't even spitting like these dudes from Philly. We need to get these young bulls and put them on right now. So what they do, they decide to put them in a group and call the group State Property. And Beanie Sigel was gonna be in charge of that, and Dame basically, you know, they came up with this idea to do it, and they signed all of them individually, not as a group. And then PD Crack came over there thinking he was gonna be an individual artist. And, you know, that he ended up thrown into State Property. Then became the stupidest beef of all beefs in the world. I understood what Figures was going through because the major Figures is like, look, you guys are copying off us. No, my hair growing back, that's all it is. Yeah, he had a lot of bars. Then he came in and started messing with Floyd and ruined himself and did something stupid. Then he was out. After all Floyd did for him. But he came over there with P. Rilla. And they wanted to be rappers. And next thing you know, P. Rilla stayed. And Frank Billy or whatever, he went on. Yeah, I don't know what they looking for. But anyway, the stupidest beef in the world started between Major Figures and State Property. Because this was a problem in the streets of Philly. These guys know each other. They grew up with each other. They went to school together. They were cool. Now they got to be forced to go against each other. And this is why I fought Petey for a lot of this nonsense. Because he knew what was going on and he was just like, man, I'm just finna get my money. And I'm like, you know, like he like, man, I waiting for the dish, y'all. I'm gonna let them, whatever beef y'all got, I'm gonna let that go with that. And the, you know, Major Figures is like, we wasn't really even thinking about them like that to try to diss them. And it destroyed Philly because everybody was picking sides and saying, man, screw them, man. Y'all dealing with them. People fighting and shooting and trying to stab each other in the clubs. Just, you know, people that rode with the crew. Just opposition. Then anybody who was on top, it pulled them down. Because now what they was doing was spending money to go up against the Major Figures. So now the Major Figures ran into all this conflict because Jay-Z got State Property and they hold a bigger wand. So they going to try to smash them down so that they can come out on top. And just try to keep them local. They can't don't let them get no shows. Don't let them do this and that. You know, so dirty politics came into play. And what happened is it caused a big division in Philly. Where they basically going against themselves. So now Cassidy come out. Cassidy's doing all right. Then he goes to jail. So that derails his career. He comes back out of jail. Everybody was waiting to see him to take off. And it never happened for Cassidy again after he got out of jail. Everybody thought, oh man, Cass finna take off and this and that. Before he could even do that, Gilly, because Gilly basically he wasn't as wrapped into the deal as everybody else was with Warner Brothers. So when he was out there as a free agent, he didn't stay in Philly. He was out there being a hired gun for writing rhymes. Oh, okay, I don't know what they calling me for. I don't know what they calling me for. So the whole nine, everything on the plate. So eventually his style ended up going to Louisiana. He's writing for Lil Wayne and a bunch of guys that's in the clique that Lil Wayne had. So now you got Philly style going out there, and now you got Lil Wayne going from wobbity, 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 drop it like it's hot to, hey DJ, you my DJ. You know, he's making all these songs that are New York talking about boy and all that stuff. All that New Orleans style was gone. And Gilly the Kid wrote all them songs. He know he was writing for him and gave him all the style. He started rapping like Gilly, wearing Gilly chain. So Gilly, once that went south, Gilly got fame off the internet for putting out videos and talking about this and making a big name out of it. And so Gilly was doing all right, going back and forth with Lil Wayne, getting some publicity. We mentioned Schoolie D earlier in the beginning. So they go all the way back to Philly. And once he gets back to Philly, he's back on the internet a lot. Gilly's all on the internet. Now that they got YouTube and everything else, this is his new marketing tool. And now that Cassidy come home, Gilly like, wait a minute, I'm finna take that spot. Cass come home and some dude runs up on him with a camera and interview him, asks him, what's up with Gilly? He like, dude, I just got out. Like, I know Gilly, but I don't really deal with Gilly like that. What's up? I don't know. What's up with him? You tell me, what's up with him? Mm-hmm. And during this time, when he's mentioning that, Gilly takes an offense, and he finds a way to take offense to it. Goes to Cassidy's old hood, where some guys who got left behind because they wasn't doing nothing anyway before that, mad because they ain't getting a bag no more, they start complaining. I ain't getting a bag from them, so forget them. Now they talking about Cassidy, damaging Cassidy for no reason, trying to lure Cassidy into a battle, going up to against him. That was the probably worst thing Gilly ever done as far as in Philly. Start angling himself to go up against Beans on the radio station when they was doing all that. It was not good energy. It wasn't good energy at the time. And Gilly's a better rapper than a lot of these dudes, and he's smarter than a lot of these guys. Business-wise, everything. And you guys see it now when he make his videos. Yep, they went and got they teamed up with AR-Ab, and that's how I found AR-Ab, through Cassidy. First time I ever heard Meek Mill a day in my life. Cassidy was there, and Meek Mill had on a ankle bracelet with some dirty braids and a white t-shirt, and he was rhyming with Gilly. First time I ever heard Meek Mill in my life. Sitting right there doing that. He was on house arrest. Dirty Meek. So that was our introduction to them. But as you see, that one little video, and because of the internet, gave Meek some light and some credibility because he was sitting there rhyming with Cassidy. So none of these guys can say Cassidy didn't do anything for them at the time, because that was better promotion than anything he's ever got. And Meek always credits Oskino, because Skino was the one who actually came out. Let me see if I can get Oskino on the phone for you. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can get O on the phone. Is it working? Yo. What's cracking? He ain't answer the phone. Tried to text him. So, yeah, tried to get him in there. But anyway, O's the guy that really put him on the map. So now you got Cassidy around, but he's not really hot no more. State properties destroyed. Beanie Siegel's down at the time. Freeway didn't really pan out to do nothing ever since that Cassidy battle. You know, he had that first hot album, What We Do, is still one of the hardest records. My boy think it's one of the best records in hip-hop history. No matter what we do is wrong. The beat, well, I'm sorry, I take that back. He said the beat. My fault. He does stand by that and says the beat is one of the best beats he heard in hip-hop history. But see, everybody started to just take from Philly. They was just like, these guys too busy with destroying each other that they ain't never gonna go nowhere. We just gonna keep using them and getting our style on. So Meek Mill started coming up, and he's trying to get a deal. He's in Atlanta with T.I. and all them guys, and they rhyming, and he going through ciphers and stuff like that. And, you know, people are taking some of that Philly style, that Philly slang, you know, and they moving on to the next. Then Lil Snoop and all these guys are following behind him, guys that's rhyming. And unfortunately, rest in peace to Lil Snoop. He was doing his thing out there, and it ended over foolishness. But Philly has been the reason why Philly didn't do anything. Every time there was a Philly artist that was getting ready to take the mantle, here comes somebody else from Philly to throw the rope around his neck and pull him down. You know, and Cool C's still alive, dude. He's in jail, but he's alive. He's on death row. Yeah, it's the crab in the barrel syndrome all the way. And that's the only thing that's held Philly back, is they put themselves in that predicament. And because they put themselves in that predicament, they have a situation where everybody using them. And their style has been mimicked by everybody in the entire industry. Everybody, Jay-Z right now is at a plateau from using Philly dudes up. using their style to it just nothing else to use no more. You saw Jadakiss and the Locks go up against Philly and had a D Block versus State Property beef, which was terrible for both sides because Kiss basically was hanging out with them dudes and rhyming with them. All them Yonkers dudes is going there with these young Philly cats. So yeah, it was something severe at the time. It was something really severe, and they're passionate about everything they do. So they don't really see the bigger picture. They see right here, right now. I'm gonna get some paper, buy my mom's a house, get me a big car. You know what I'm saying? They think right here, right now. They hustlers. They all from the streets. This is we gotta get it. And that's just all they know. They don't understand or see the bigger picture, seeing how all these guys was taken from them. You know, you got guys in Houston rapping like guys from Philly. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And you won't know it until you travel around. They know most Philly people don't travel. To most Philly people, they love to stay right there in Philly. So now everybody, their style has been migrating around the entire globe. You got everybody sounding like Philly dudes. I know Corrupt is from Philly. And he went down to Cali and was spitting them bars and it got him a deal. Yeah, that's a Philly album. And everybody loved the Carter One. And that whole album is a Philly album, completely. You listen to the Carter One, that's a Philly album, all the way. But you start looking at all the remixes Lil Wayne was doing, all this style was Philly. All that stuff is Philly. All that we taking over. Once Lil Wayne got the style and the flow, he didn't need nothing else. He knew. He did the same thing Jay did. He got with this guy, learned from him, learned his style, and mimicked it and ran with it. He wasn't rapping like a New Orleans dude no more. He don't even sound like he from New Orleans. Jay-Z was the first to really profit off of it the way he did. KRS-One did it first, before all of them. But he was the one to really profit off of it. KRS-One, when he was hanging out with Schoolie D, Cool C, Steady B, and all of those guys, and Steady B, Serious. On the remix, you got KRS-One and Steady B with the video. Cause I'm serious. Steady B is serious. And that's what happened in New York. Why you think New York rap went the way it did? Why you think New York was gone so much? It went back to the dead spot where there was no records in New York. Hip hop was gone. There was nothing no more because none of them guys they weren't hungry. Those guys was not hungry. What's up, Golden Eagle? Appreciate it. Yep, Eve's from Philly. She's like the second most successful to come out of everybody thinks Beanie Sigel. Beanie Sigel was like the bigger face of Philly because he really put Philly, like he repped it. Somebody who really repped Philly all the way, like Eve was Philly, but she ain't rep it like Beans repped it. I mean, shoot, he changed his name instead of Beanie Mac, he was Beanie Sigel, like Siegel Street. That's it. I'm gonna name the street. But she's had the most success. Will Smith is, of course, nobody's eclipsing Will. But besides that, Eve, she sold the most records. If we going by that. I mean, her career, Benny had a longer career, but he didn't sell that many records. Oh, yeah, DJ Cash Money. Yeah, I tried to get Oskino on, but, he had a lady answer the phone, and she's like, like, I can't do it right now. Or this ain't here. So, well, Bill Cosby didn't rap. This is just Philly rap. We ain't talking about, like, anybody from Philly. I mean, Kevin Hart gonna be the next one to take it over. But New York just went totally dead. It was like nothing coming out of New York, and everybody was just coming to New York from every place else. And the door was just open for anything. So when Meek Mill was out, everybody should have gotten behind him and helped him, and he should have been more open to saying, let me get with Beanie, let me get with Gilly, let me do this, what I need to do. He beefed with every single body in his own city. And he came up from the battle and, street battle and all that. But I'm like, he should have never battled and went against Cassidy. He should have never battled and went against Gilly. The one time he did before they became cool again. He should have never battled with none of these dudes. AR Ab, any of these dudes. They should have never, ever quarreled with each other. None of them. They had no business doing that. Like, none of them did. You got guys over there getting shot over stupidity. It didn't even make no sense for it to be there. Yep, ego. Ego is the main killer of all these people, man. Ego does nothing but destroy. And that's why Philly rap is the way it is right now. New York rap is trying to come back, but that's how easy the radio was able to replace them and replace them from Lil Wayne, Houston, even Miami. Rick Ross, what he do? He get Meek Mill, and he start rapping with another Philly guy. He still used the same flow, but he's using Philly guys' lyrics. That Philly sound, hanging out with all these Philly cats. Taking that influence. Now that's down in Miami. So you got guys in Miami trying to talk like Philly, moving like Philly, moving like guys they think is from New York, they from Philly. And they go to Miami, kick it, same thing. Now Miami is overfluxed with people from the upper East Coast coming down there. $50 had nothing to do with that. New York rap ain't had nothing to do with why 50 Cent didn't. When he made it, it wasn't like they closed the door in New York. Everybody else wasn't doing what they was supposed to be doing. Like, what stopped the Locks from making songs? What stopped Jadakiss from making records? He was making records. They just weren't successful. Some of them was all right, but then they just weren't, he could never make that commercial hits. As a video I did like about a week ago, you guys will see it probably this weekend. And it'll explain that a lot, why that didn't happen. Right, like they say, we are the streets. And that's exactly what they were. They were the streets. No, X started having all kind of troubles due to drugs and everything else. X was out of the picture. Then you had other situations with not X, but Ja Rule and 50 got into it. And once that happened, Ja was gone, 50 was there, and G Unit was there. Nobody else was putting out any artists or doing anything because all the other record companies had lost a lot of money, weren't really doing nothing. Busta Rhymes screwed up the record label of Elektra. It was already bankrupt when he got there, but his music started to suck, and he just became a guy doing hooks. Nas, it took a hiatus, and all the underground New York hip hop was unimpressive. But, yep, we've covered all grounds. And that's where we at right now. One day, Philly rap will come back to the top of the water, and we can move from there. But on that note, it's your boy Carcino. I'm out. And thank you guys again for sticking around as long as you did. And I'm finna go take a nap. Get ready for this game.